I like collecting things, figures, comics, some vintage items, and yes, games. But I'm so stingy and won't buy anything unless I can get it for a reasonable price. So when Epic Games decided to give out free games every week, I got pretty excited. Some big titles were available for free, but most look like bargain bin games from Five Below. But games are meant to be played, so how about I try them all? Doesn't sound so bad. Should be like 12 games in there, maybe 30 some. Well, no, not exactly, because I have added every free release that the store offered to my collection for the past 3 years. This amounts to well over 150 titles. If I were to play each of these games for at least 4 hours, it would take a minimum of 600 hours to play them all. So am I really going to play all these games? Well, yes, actually. I've decided I'm going to play and review every game on my Epic Games account. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of them. Some I'll play to completion, others I'll put enough time in to give a fair opinion. Join me in this endeavor. We may find some familiar faces, encounter unfamiliar territory, or discover a hidden gem among them. So let us begin our epic journey. XX is a game that, at first glance, looks a lot like a Mega Man game, and at second glance, it still looks like Mega Man. But according to a Wikipedia entry, this is exactly what the dev was going for. Chris King developed XX due to the lack of Mega Man titles in recent years, and wanted to give fans of the genre something similar to play. Now, I haven't played a single Mega Man game, but the premise seems the same. The world is being attacked by some evil robots, and we have to stop them. All we have to do to save the world is platform through 10 levels, collect power-ups along the way, and defeat each area's boss. To do this, we can play as Nina, the gender swap Mega Man, or Ace, who is just X from Mega Man X. Nina has a ranged attack that fires pellets which can be charged up for big blasts to do more damage and penetrate through weaker enemies. Ace can swing his sword and charge his attack to swing harder, I guess. Even though Ace does a little more damage, it's tough getting close enough to enemies without losing some health in the process. Throughout the game, you'll find variants for your basic attack, usually in the form of a multi-shot upgrade. These and other power-ups come in chests that you find by doing some sick platforming. Power upgrades and special armor can also be bought at a store that appears somewhere in the level or before a boss stage. Every piece of armor has some sort of player upgrade, like an air dash, extra jump, or 0 knockback from damage. There's also a totally safe and non-threatening shop where you can get a sick upgrade at the cost of some sort of debuff. I might not be safe right now, but I'm definitely vibing to these tunes for some reason. Sometimes I made a deal with the devil, and once led to a very interesting situation where I had all these drones, but I wasn't able to attack for myself.
All my fellas. All my fellas.
Enemy spotted.
He's just standing there.
Challenge rooms can also be found in every level. Almost every one of these has a specific objective, whether it's defeating enemies within a time period or platforming without taking damage. These challenges can't be played again if you fail, but completing a room will usually give you an item, adding to the risk-reward type gameplay. There are limited items in the early parts of this game, but you can get more by selling souls. Souls are dropped from these glowing enemies and appear at the end of a level when you defeat the boss. With souls, you can get permanent upgrades that will help throughout the game, like better items for the shops found in the levels, some instant upgrades that last for the next run, and a cat that will poop out a chest for you during 2 separate levels. Upgrades can be left on for an easier playthrough or turned off if you want to be a gamer and fight an uphill battle. As an avid gamer, I went with the normal difficulty for all but one of my runs. The Reverend difficulty gives you more crates for money and plenty of opportunities to get health and items. It also gives you 3 lives instead of ending the run when your health depletes. Fine is the most challenging, or so it says because I didn't try it. The normal difficulty was more than willing to give me a hard time. It's not the enemy difficulty that makes this game challenging, it's the gosh danged platforming. It's fine in early stages of the game, but the further you go, the more the levels change. Half the time you're expected to land such weird jumps that makes avoiding damage near impossible. I had to constantly shoot to clear out enemies so I could face the greater challenge of making a simple jump. At least you don't die just by falling, and the checkpoints are fairly generous. I quickly found out that certain levels are more difficult in later phases than others. XX has a system where the further you are in your run, the harder the levels get in terms of enemy spawns and platforming, due to a procedurally generated landscape. The sky base was okay until I got absolutely blasted by an enemy off screen. and the mechanical stages became so cramped with enemies, fire, moving platforms, and motherfucking treadmills that I got so overwhelmed. Let's not neglect the 2 ice stages. Of all places, you had to give me an ice stage in a platforming game. Gotta love sliding off a block that could barely fit the character to begin with, and the jungle stages actually weren't that bad. I really like those stages, both in terms of visual design and game design. Most of 20XX has a beautifully simplistic and colorful art style. Everything is uniquely styled to distinguish enemies and platforms. The animations are smooth yet telegraphed, so you always know what's going on. Unless of course you never change the default settings. Is this a minor convenience? Yes, but I can't imagine playing through the entire game like this. Take a look at this image. Where am I? Lost in the void of special effects and item descriptions. Screen shake and motion blur are also available in case a flashbang at the end of every boss fight isn't enough. But I digress. Overall, I think this is a well-rounded and challenging platformer. The movement is fairly fluid and each area has a unique gimmick. Even though the boss rooms aren't all that difficult, they showcase that classic boss fight formula. Dodge, attack, dodge until you win. The arenas are designed specifically to help you dodge every attack, so I never felt like I was at a disadvantage. Every boss has a distinctive style and color palette to match the stage's theme. They don't have more than 3 or 4 types of attack and defense moves, which makes memorizing their patterns quite simple. And once they're defeated, you get the option to take some nuts. The game's in-game currency, a power-up, or the boss's ability. I usually took the flame ring, deflecting ability, or a rather familiar minigun. But I forgot I had these abilities half the time, which could have saved me in some circumstances, but it's pretty manageable to beat all the stages without them. I didn't really start to use these abilities until the final stages. The first of the final stages combines everything from the previous ones: ice, treadmills, moving platforms, along with every enemy type that's been encountered. Quickly, I'd like to mention that every stage has a timer, and if you beat it with time left on the clock, you're rewarded with a chest that gives you some items. Most timers were between 3 and 6 minutes. The final stage had a 10-minute timer. That just tells me I should get ready for a butt whooping. I made a few attempts, but it was hard to tell if I was bad or everything was just against me. So I did one final run on the easiest difficulty. Having those extra lives was an absolute blessing. I died once, but that let me figure out how to navigate this level. And that knockback armor I mentioned a while ago now comes into play. All damage you take knocks you back a little, which becomes problematic when you're trying to stay on a moving platform or jumping to a platform that has an enemy on it. I used every invincibility frame that I could with the armor to make it to the boss room. Paused the game, took a moment to breathe. If I lost here, I'd have to do this level all over again. I can't lose now. I have to use all that I learned and all my skill to... And he's dead. Okay, so that was a lot easier than I thought. This boss had every other boss's ability, but he just couldn't seem to hit me. So I walked to the end, tried to kill this weird looking dog, gave up 40 shots later, and realized that I have another level to beat. This will be the end of me. I'm not sure I'll be able to triumph over this next challenge. Oh look, I'm at the boss store. I really don't understand the difficulty pacing for this game. I had to go through what felt like hours of pain just to beat the stage before the final level. It felt like walking through a ball pit after crawling through 30 yards of barbed wire. But then we finally get to meet the final boss. Ourselves! Well, actually, it's this other scientist. I guess these two guys started the robot apocalypse and didn't want us to stop it or something. Should have read the red flags when they tried to execute us. Story aside, this final boss was the most fun and interesting to play against. It was really cool to have the level change each time the boss was damaged. There was definitely a lot going on, so I had to rely on my abilities this time to block incoming damage and abuse the no knockback armor to speed my way through. In the end, I was able to defeat the final boss and soak in my victory. Now I can just stroll on out of here and wrap up this video. Ah, shit. Great, there's still more. This last platforming section wasn't that hard, but I was a little stressed out with all the explosions following me. I actually had fun in this section though. It required some quick inputs, but with me mostly just moving forward. I had quite a few close calls and had to make a few leaps of faith, but managed to run the whole way through without taking damage or falling into a fiery demise. Upon reaching the end, we blast off into space and watch the destruction of the evil corporation. Nina and Ace get to retire to an island where they can relax, which means I can end my review. Oh, we forgot the space cat! I'm gonna miss you, little guy. I mean, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. And oh wait, it can teleport. Good to see you, buddy. 20XX might actually be my first experience with this type of platform shooter. So how would I rate my overall experience? Well, ladies, gents, and everyone in between, I introduce to you my smile scale. I don't really have a proper name for this yet, but here's how it works. I rate a game based on my overall enjoyment and experience. Red annoyed faces if I didn't like it, and blue happy faces if I did. The gray neutral face in the middle is for ones that I don't have a strong enough opinion of. Okay, so I'm gonna rate 20XX 1 blue face out of 5. It isn't a bad game, but I don't have much experience in this genre. I had some fun for sure, but this isn't a game that I would often go back to. Well, maybe just to visit the cat again. Hey, you watched till the end of the video. That's pretty cool, that's pretty great, I'm pretty happy about it. Are you happy about it? I actually put a lot of effort in this, so it means a lot to me that you stuck around till the end. I'll start a playlist for the series here. There should be almost 200 videos in total by the end of my epic journey. Might take me a few years, but I'll get there eventually. I really hope you'll hang around and see. Until next time, insert catchphrase here. Yeah, I don't have a catchphrase yet. Yeah, just click on another video.